I was working the evening shift when I got the call. The captain was hurt and needed my help. The dispatcher didn't know exactly what was wrong, only that it was serious. It was serious, all right, but in a way I never expected. At that point, I'd never even heard of foodborne illness.
I'm Sergeant Turner, City Police. Where did he get hit?
The stomach. Lower intestinal tract. Every place from the neck down. You name it. They got me there.
Foodborne illness, better known as food poisoning. This is one form of it, Staphylococcus aureus.
Courtesy of Gabe's Great American Bar and Grill.
Dr. Proctor.
Food poisoning? Is that all, Captain? I thought it was something serious.
Take it from me, Turner. If you ever get it, you'll find out. It's serious.
There are more than 2 million cases of foodborne illness in this country every year, Sergeant. Some people actually die from it. I'd call that serious.
Dr. Travers.
This is Health Inspector Bryant. She's an expert on food safety. She's going to inspect Gabe's kitchen. I want you to go with her.
Me? I don't know anything about food safety.
You're going to learn.
One thing you'll learn is that food products in this country are almost always safe and wholesome. Foodborne illness is usually caused by improper handling or preparation of those products, by consumers in the home, or in this case, food service workers.
Which is why I want you to get a line on the guy that served me the ham salad food platter for lunch. His name is Benny.
I just don't see how this is a police case, sir.
I heard this guy telling another customer he was looking for other jobs in a nursing home, a school, even a hospital.
Think of what foodborne illness would do to people who are very old.
Or very young.
Or seriously ill.
Yeah, I understand. I guess that could be pretty scary. Somebody could die.
That's what makes it a police case. And that's why I asked the health department to team you up with Inspector Bryant for a few days. Get a sample of the ham salad. Close down Gabe's kitchen if Inspector Bryant thinks it's necessary. Find out what's wrong and locate this Benny character before something terrible happens.
Yes, sir. I'll find Benny. You can rely on me. But I still don't know anything about food safety.
Don't worry, Sergeant. I'll show you everything you need to know, step by step. Believe me, food safety is no mystery.
I never thought about sanitation when I ate at Gabe's, but Inspector Bryant told me that good sanitation was essential to a safe food service operation. The organisms that cause food poisoning are invisible but can be eliminated by following some basic rules. The problem was, Gabe ignored those rules.
Hey, Gabe. Sergeant Turner, what brings you around so late?
The captain's in the hospital with food poisoning. And I'm looking for Benny.
Benny?
That's right, Gabe. The same Benny I've warned you about time and time again.
This is Inspector Bryant from the health department.
He knows. Gabe and I go way back, don't we, Gabe?
You're not going to close me down just because one person got sick.
Who said anything about closing you down, Gabe? We just want a sample of your ham salad for analysis and a line on Benny. But since I'm here, why don't I just inspect the operation? You know the drill, Gabe. We'll start with personal hygiene. Smoking while preparing or serving food is prohibited. It contaminates your fingers, and any food you might touch with your fingers can also become contaminated. Smoking also introduces foreign substances such as ashes, cigarette butts, and matches into an environment which should be made scrupulously clean. And there are other obvious problems with personal hygiene here, Sergeant, such as no hairnet or cap to keep hair out of the food. Customers don't like eating hair.
Please, Sergeant.
The soiled shirt and apron represent an even bigger problem. If, for example, Gabe handled raw meat or poultry, especially if it contained dangerous bacteria such as salmonella, then wiped his hands on the apron itself could be a source of food poisoning bacteria. Of course, we might have less to worry about if we thought Gabe washed his hands after touching anything that might be a source of contamination. Dirty plates, the telephone, raw meat or poultry. his nose. But the hand-washing sink doesn't seem to be readily accessible. This is definitely not accessible. All conscientious food service professionals know the importance of cleaning hands. Right, Leo? They know they should use soap and warm water, lather for at least 20 seconds. That's 20 seconds, Leo. Rinse clean and then dry their hands on a single-service towel. Of course, it doesn't matter how thoroughly you wash your hands if you have an open cut or sore.
Tell me about Benny.
I didn't want to hire him. I was short of help.
Counters should be cleaned promptly, especially if they come into contact with potentially dangerous product. After a thorough cleaning, they should be sanitized with a cleaning cloth that has been soaked in a sanitizing solution at least twice as strong as you would use for pots.
Okay. I give up. What do you want to know?
Where's Benny?
Throw that in the trash, Leo.
I remember he said he was going to go to the nursing home that was near the big shopping mall.
That's better. We should be able to locate that. You haven't got a picture of him, have you?
Yeah, maybe.
Thanks, Gabe. But don't expect me over for lunch anytime soon.
Oh, he doesn't always look that bad. He generally spiffs himself up when he goes out looking for work.
You should have spiffed up your kitchen some, Gabe. Even if the ham salad is okay. You've got an awful lot of violations here.
But I gave the sergeant what he wanted.
He did play ball. He even gave me a picture of Benny.
Oh, Benny. I salute your sense of civic responsibility, Gabe, but I'm going to have to file this report, and that will close you down.
Wait a minute. I thought we had a deal here.
I did promise that I'd talk to you.
And you have. But I don't make deals when it comes to the public health. On the other hand, if you were to close down voluntarily for a few days, I'd be glad to come back and conduct a new inspection.
Okay. I'll close down.
And as soon as I take a sample of the ham salad, you will throw the rest in the garbage.
Okay.
Good. Now go close down the dining room.
By the time we left, even I knew something about sanitation and personal hygiene. Harmful bacteria and microorganisms are everywhere in the kitchen. To prevent the spread of these dangerous bacteria, the kitchen and the workers in it should be scrupulously clean. Workers should wash hands after touching food or work surfaces and equipment where food has been. Keep uniforms clean. Clean and sanitize counters and utensils immediately after use. When we started making the rounds of nursing homes the next morning, I knew nothing about food preparation. I couldn't tell the danger zone from the twilight zone. Mainly, I was determined to be as hard-nosed and professional as Inspector Bryant. She had pressured Gabe to close down for good reason. Now, the principal danger was Benny. I had to find him before he contaminated another operation with his uninformed approach to food safety. Inspector Bryant was sure that this particular nursing home would never have hired him, but I wasn't going to take any chances.
Hello, Robert.
Hello, Inspector Bryant.
This is Sergeant Turner.
We're looking for Mrs. Kim.
Well, she just left on an errand.
She runs the kitchen, doesn't she?
Well, she's in charge of food service operation. I run the kitchen.
Then can you tell me if this fella stopped by for a job interview yesterday?
What's he charged with?
Nothing, Robert. We just need to find him.
So how about it, Robert? Did you see him or not?
Well, I not only saw him, I smelled him, too.
So did you hire him?
Now, that's an insult. I run a quality operation. I wouldn't hire someone like that.
He really wouldn't, Sergeant.
Does she look like Benny?
No, she doesn't.
Clean uniform, proper hairnet, clean hands. You probably just washed your hands, didn't you?
Yeah, right. Now that I have to make salad, I'm going to wash them again.
So she won't contaminate the salad with bacteria from the raw meat.
Very impressive. However, we will take a look around, won't we, Inspector?
If you don't mind, Robert.
Sure. My pleasure. Let's have a look. As you can see, we're having meatloaf for lunch, but supper tonight is special. Tonight, we're serving a complete turkey dinner. Now, this turkey breast is ready to cook. We've thawed 8 of these in the refrigerator over the last couple of days. Usually we have a real good idea of how many meals we're going to need, so it's easy to plan ahead and thaw in the refrigerator. Tonight's an exception. Residents can invite friends and relatives as guests, and we're not sure about the count until the last minute.
Do you thaw all of your meat and poultry products this way?
Almost always.
That's the best way to do it. Thawing in the refrigerator is safe. Thawing at room temperature on a countertop is dangerous.
That's because thawing on the countertop still takes several hours, and obviously the product thaws from the outside to the inside. That means that the outside of the product will be in the danger zone for too long, and there's a risk that food poisoning bacteria will grow.
The danger zone is a range of temperatures between 40 and 140 degrees within which food poisoning bacteria quickly multiply. Leaving any meat or poultry product in the danger zone is an invitation to food poisoning.
Well, what about an evening like tonight, Robert? Suppose more people than you figured on show up.
I'll show you. I have to thaw this frozen one for tonight anyway. Excuse me. I put it in a clean pan, put it in the sink, then I run cold water on it until it's thawed.
How long does that take?
Oh, maybe an hour or two. Make sure you don't stop up the drain.
That's by the book.
Okay, Robert, you're making a believer out of me. But humor me. Tell me about the cooking process.
All right, fine. First, let me wash my hands. Excuse me. Now, we like to do our cooking at the last minute, just before we serve. Now, we'll put these vegetables into this steamer 10 minutes before lunch is served, which is right now. Thank you, Kathleen.
That's called batch cookery. That way the food is either safe in the refrigerator or is actually being cooked, with no exposure at room temperature.
Okay, how do you know when something is completely cooked?
Well, I always use a chef's thermometer. I'll show you.
Now, how do you know that that thermometer is not already contaminated?
Because we sanitize them after every use. Since this one hasn't been sanitized already, I use a swab.
Notice how Robert inserts the thermometer into the thickest section of the meatloaf.
Ah, this one's ready. The suggested temperatures for serving specific kinds of meat and poultry vary. But I like to cook my meatloaf to 165 degrees to be safe.
Okay, it's obvious that Benny never worked here. This is a quality operation. Sorry, Robert.
You're sorry. Okay, no hard feelings. Hold on, Sergeant. You know, I didn't pay any attention to this Benny fella. I was just trying to get him out of here. But I do recall that he mentioned some school.
Yeah, which one?
Well, it was Fillmore Junior High, I think, but I'm not sure.
Thanks. Let's go. By now I knew that what Inspector Bryant had to say made sense. Harmful bacteria multiply rapidly when the temperature is between 40 degrees and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. This is called the danger zone. To prevent bacteria from multiplying, food must be kept out of the danger zone. Workers should thaw food in the refrigerator or in the sink under running water. They shouldn't store food on the counter before cooking, but move it quickly from refrigerator to stove or oven. They should cook and serve food at a temperature above 140 degrees. When I thought about contamination, I thought about Benny, and in a way I was right. He was a danger, and we had to find out if he worked at Fillmore Junior High. But I learned that in the food service industry, contamination refers to a variety of identifiable problems with specific solutions. A little voice in the back of my mind kept telling me that the school had more problems than solutions. The food service operation might look good on the surface, but a closer examination was necessary. As it turned out, Inspector Bryant agreed with me.
Who's in charge here?
Of the kitchen?
Yes.
Mrs. Sanchez. She's over by the walk-in with the delivery man.
Thank you.
Yeah, here you got your green beans and your pickles, and then over here you got your peanut butter, your potato chips.
Mrs. Sanchez?
Yes?
I'm Health Inspector Bryant.
No.
Yes. And this is Sergeant Turner of the City Police. Mrs. Sanchez?
Yes?
Do you recognize this man?
Excuse me.
Mrs. Sanchez.
Excuse me, pal? Huh?
Mrs. Sanchez?
Yes?
I'd like to talk to you some more about this man. Did he come in and apply for a job yesterday?
Yes?
Did you hire him?
No.
Can you tell us any more about him?
Excuse me, but I am very busy.
Mrs. Sanchez!
Yes?
Do you mind if we look around until you're free?
No. Go right ahead. Why should I mind?
She seems awfully nervous.
Maybe she likes refrigerators.
Foodstuff stored on shelves at least 6 inches from the floor. That's a good sign. Good personal hygiene, a hairnet and gloves on the service line. Meat held and served above 140 degrees. Well, at least they're thawing the meat in the refrigerator.
So everything seems up to specs, huh?
Not quite. Take a closer look.
Oh. That doesn't look too good.
You should always thaw meat on the lowest shelf. It's a classic case of contamination. Sometimes it's called cross-contamination.
Cross-contamination?
It's a subtle sanitation problem and therefore can be very dangerous. But it can be prevented. Come on, let's take a look. Notice that the raw product is handled on a counter well away from the oven. When the cooked chicken is finished baking, it will be taken from the oven and placed in a steam table without ever coming in contact with the counter on which the raw product was handled. There are, in short, separate areas for raw and cooked product. Now, that's a good idea.
What's the difference? I mean, chicken is chicken.
It makes a big difference when it comes to food safety. You see, raw chicken is often contaminated with salmonella, a bacteria that is very harmful. Mixing cooked and raw chicken together is not safe.
Is cooked chicken safe?
When it's thoroughly cooked, it is. The problem is that the harmful salmonella bacteria can be found in almost anything that's come in contact with the raw product, such as the cutting board, a knife, a pair of tongs, or even human hands. If, for example, the cooked chicken were placed on the same cutting board where the raw chicken was trimmed, there would be a definite risk of contaminating the cooked chicken. Separating the raw and cooked product lessens that risk. Using an acrylic cutting board like the one she's using is another big advantage. An acrylic board is much easier to sanitize, but you have to do it the right way. Come with me. Acrylic cutting boards gradually accumulate grooves from knives and cleavers. You need to scrub them conscientiously with a brush and then use the three-step process as they're using here.
The three-step process?
Right. The first sink contains detergent and hot water. This is where food soil and grease is removed. The middle sink is for rinsing. This is where you get rid of remaining food material and any detergent residue. The third and final sink is for a sanitizing solution. Now, because some sanitizing agents don't work in the presence of organic material, it is essential that the first two steps are carried out diligently. The cutting board and any utensils that may have come in contact with the raw product must be processed carefully at each stage.
Well, what if you've only got two sinks?
Well, then you drain one of the others at the end of the stage and fill it with the sanitizing solution.
And what's that line for?
Oh, it's just a visual reminder of how to create a sanitizing solution of adequate strength. You add 2 ounces of sanitizing solution, then fill the sink with water to the line indicated by the tape. And of course, the only foolproof method is to test the water with a test kit that every kitchen should have. See, like this one. You see? This indicates that this solution is of adequate strength.
It's 2 minutes to lunch. We're gonna need more lettuce and more chicken quick.
I'll be right out with more chicken.
So everything is basically all right here.
I don't agree. I'm sorry. I can't let you take that to the steam table. Go get Mrs. Sanchez.
That won't be necessary. What's the problem?
Well, your kitchen is almost up to standards, but there are 3 problems here that even Sergeant Turner could spot. Isn't that right, Sergeant?
Well, for starters, the lettuce was first contaminated by the thawing hamburger in the refrigerator.
Right. What else?
The lettuce was further contaminated when it was taken out of the refrigerator and placed on the cutting board.
Good. And what about that chicken she has in the pan?
This worker touched the pan and the cooked chicken immediately after handling the raw chicken.
Well, I was wearing gloves.
That only protects against bacteria on human skin. You contaminated the gloves when you touched the raw chicken.
We need more chicken.
Well,
It's up to you. What do you think, Sergeant?
I'd say that you better not serve that chicken. And you should throw your gloves away and wash your hands.
Right. And then you can serve all the chicken you want, except the chicken she touched with her gloves. And no lettuce. You've got to throw that out.
okay, Darlene. You heard them. Throw it out.
I knew that there was something I should have remembered about Fillmore Junior High. You had an outbreak of food poisoning here, didn't you?
Yes, but that was several months ago.
And Benny was working here then, wasn't he?
Yes. Look, I apologize for avoiding you earlier. I guess I panicked, but I fired Benny right after the incident. We're not perfect, but I thought we were doing better.
Why did Benny come to see you yesterday?
He wanted his old job back. I turned him down. And then he asked me if he could list me as a reference. I declined. But he gave me the phone number and he asked me to call anyway.
Call where?
Mercy Hospital.
Mercy Hospital. That's where Captain Hemingway is recovering.
Look, you are doing better, but there's still some problems. I'll be back as soon as I can to help you solve them.
Although I was worried about the captain, I still appreciated Inspector Bryant's confidence in me. I had learned a lot about food safety in a short period of time. I knew that cross-contamination occurs when harmful bacteria are transferred from one food to another. The bacteria can also be transferred by utensils, equipment, or human hands. To prevent cross-contamination, workers should use separate work areas for raw and cooked products. They should change gloves and wash hands after handling raw food products. Utensils, cutting boards, and other work surfaces that have come in contact with raw product should be promptly and carefully washed and sanitized. And they should store meat, poultry, and other raw products on the lower shelves of refrigerators. All we knew was that Benny might be working at the hospital, but my sixth sense told me I was on the right track. It turned out that safe cooling and reheating was the key, the part of the process where the conscientious food service professional is most likely to make a mistake. When we got to the hospital, Inspector Bryant sought out the food service manager while I went upstairs to warn the captain.
We use thermometers to make sure we cook everything thoroughly. We're dealing with patients here, so we're better safe than sorry. Then we put the meal into an insulated container and send it upstairs immediately.
Do you ever reheat leftovers?
Let me show you.
Did you come by just to see me?
Not really. We managed to trace Benny to this hospital.
He works here.
Well, we don't know yet. We're still checking it out.
I hope not. I just ordered a cold roast beef sandwich for supper. It's the first meal I've been looking forward to since lunch yesterday.
We try not to have leftovers. If we do, the quantity is usually much too small to serve our patients' needs, so leftovers really aren't a problem. We serve them in the staff cafeteria if we don't throw them out. This clam chowder is going up there now. If we do reheat, however, we always reheat to at least 165 degrees.
What if you were going to refrigerate this chowder? How would you do that?
Well, first we put it into the smallest possible container. Then we immerse it in an ice bath to cool it as quickly as possible.
That's good practice. Mind if I take a look in your walk-in?
Not at all. While you're in there, I'll go check with personnel about Benny.
It's cold in here.
That's the point. Put on your coat and your hair restraint. How's the captain?
He's improving. How's the kitchen?
Quite impressive. Reheating is a critical area, but they seem to do it well. They're extra careful to make sure meals are served at a safe temperature. So if there is a problem, I think it'll be here.
This place seems pretty ideal.
I agree. Notice how this hamburger is stored on a tray to prevent juices from leaking downward. Also, it's stored on the lowest shelf in a separate area. See how the sacks and crates of vegetables are stored above it.
Everything seems labeled.
That's good news, too. They identify the product, if it's been cooked, and when it was first refrigerated. That way, product can be rotated according to a predetermined plan, and nothing ever spoils.
Yeah, how come there are so many shallow containers?
Because you need to cool hot food quickly to get it out of the danger zone. The best way is to break it into small units for most efficient cooling. Containers should be no more than 4 inches high, preferably with no more than 3 inches of food in them. And they should be separated so that cool air flows around all sides.
I agreed with Inspector Bryant. On the surface, everything seemed fine. Rapid cooling of food can prevent dangerous bacteria and other microorganisms from multiplying. Proper reheating can kill most harmful bacteria, and the hospital staff seemed to be doing things the right way. They clearly instructed their workers to use small, flat containers to cool food quickly, mark containers with name of the product and date and time it was cooked before refrigerating, reheat foods to at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit. But I still had a strong hunch that Benny worked here, and I didn't want to take any chances. I had a feeling we were missing something. What about these?
That's strange. It says that these roasts were cooked early this morning and refrigerated at 7 a.m. That was more than 10 hours ago, but they're at 75 degrees. They've been in the danger zone for much too long. They still are.
What if they make cold roast beef sandwiches out of them?
That would be trouble. Why?
Because that's what they're giving Captain Hemingway for supper.
We've got to stop them.
That looks like Benny.
You're right. I'll get him.
Hey, it turns out we did hire him.
I know.